Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ese, and today we're going to be reviewing the latest Nollywood blockbuster on Netflix, Jagun Jagun. So without further ado, let's get into this video. If you haven't seen this movie, pause this review, go and watch it, and then come back because there's a lot to discuss, okay? But if you've already seen it, come closer. Let's just because this review is going to be one for the books. Before I continue in this review, I just want to say, if this is your first time seeing my face, definitely don't make it your last. Click that subscribe button. I do movie reviews and I also share lifestyle vlogs and travel vlogs. And trust me, my vlogs are always epic, okay? So this movie follows the life of a young warrior called Botija who has powers to communicate to trees, and he wants more than that power. He actually wants to become a warrior. So he joins this elite army, and their leader, Ogundiji, is threatened by this up-and-coming warrior and decides to do everything in his power to end him. So yeah, that's what this movie is about. This movie is a Yoruba movie, by the way, and it sort of reminds me of Anikulapo and Woman King. I don't know if you've seen Woman King, but the vibe is very similar. The reason why I say it also reminds me of Anikulapo is because it is a Yoruba movie and the location sort of looks very similar and the vibe was similar, just that the stories are of course completely different. The second Yoruba movie that I'm watching on Netflix, and I have to say it is definitely Netflix standard. There's been some movies on Netflix lately and I'm just like, why is this on Netflix? But this one definitely deserved the hype and all the accolades. The cast, this movie features a lot of the popular Yoruba actors and actresses. Of course, being that the movie was produced by Femi Adebayo, he also starred in it and he played the lead role, Ogundiji. We also saw Lateef Adedimeji. I really like that guy. I love the way he acts. You don't see him in a lot of movies, but I like seeing him in this type of roles because most times when I see him, he's always acting something very funny. We had Fathia Balogun, also known as Fathia Williams, and we had Mr. Macaroni, of course. Mr. Macaroni was also in Anikulapo. Mr. Macaroni is in most films. If there's any movie that is going to be on an epic, if there's any epic movie that's going to be on Netflix, I always expect to see Mr. Macaroni. So I was not surprised to see him here. I think we had a lot of them, to be honest. If you grew up watching Yoruba movies, I'm sure a lot of the faces there were very familiar. I don't want to start going into their names, but I'm just going to talk about the acting of some of the lead actors and actresses. Overall, everybody did well. So I'm just going to put that blanket statement out there. Nobody dropped the ball. Everybody acted, whether it was a small part or they all delivered. But I have to say, Femi Adebayo takes the crown because his acting was spectacular. I don't know if it was the hair and the makeup, but he literally transformed before my very eyes. Like, when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this man act in such a role, and he really bodied it. Like 10 over 10. He brought that fearful persona alive. Like, I really liked it. I know they also amplified it with they did some auto-tune to his voice as well, which added a little bit of pizzazz to it. But I really liked his acting. Talk about Femi Adebayo without talking about Lateef Adedimeji. Oh my God. Like I said, guys, I've seen him in other movies, but in this particular movie, he brought that meek, loyal warrior persona to life. He played Botija, who is the young warrior that I was talking about in the plot, and he just delivered it. So it was so effortless. It was very believable. It was really good. And then for the female actresses, Bimba Demoye was also in it, and I like the fact that she was toned down because it is very easy for her to come off very strong, and I'm happy that she didn't also play like the lead female character as well. The person who played the lead female character, however, who played Kiton, I have to say, I'm sorry to say this, but she was my least favorite amongst everybody. And this is not to take away from her acting. She did act well, but it wasn't up to par with everyone else. I think the only part where she really brought it for me was at the end when she was with Botija, like her final scene where she was now like narrating some bits and pieces. That part, I felt like that was where she really shined. The other scenes, I didn't exactly feel the chemistry between her and Botija, if I'm being honest. Please let me know in the comment section if you disagree. That would be your opinion. This is my opinion. I just felt like Fathia Balogun delivered way more. When we think about female characters that really delivered in this movie, Fathia Balogun is who comes to mind. She didn't have a lot of scenes, but the scenes that she was in, she did what she had to do. Okay, like I loved it. Now the storyline and the storytelling, the story is not one that I've never heard of before. It's very basic, very typical. I think most in current day and age, right, most movies we already know what the storyline is going to be about from the beginning. I get it. Even the synopsis, the description on Netflix basically told me everything I needed to know about this movie, and it didn't deflect from that. I think they had a very strong hook, because that beginning, I was like, yo, let's go. And if you watch my reviews, you know that I always say, start strong, hook me in, let me be invested. They definitely did that. However, this is the part where they massively dropped the ball. Like, I threw them the ball and they just let it drop. And then they literally crawled to go and pick up the ball. In terms of the continuity and the way the story flowed, the middle part, for the better part of it, I feel like after the first few, let's say 15-20 minutes, I was lost. They were just showing a lot of things and a lot of villages that didn't connect. I was like, okay, what is the story? To be honest, I actually thought the story was going to be how maybe the gods stripped Ogundiji of his powers because he burnt, I think his name was Wemimo or something like that, alive. One of his warriors, he burnt the person alive, and then the wife was like, oh, she went to meet this other native doctor and was saying, oh, you know what, deal with him, take his wife away from him and all of that. Like, I thought that was what the story is going to be about, and then it deviated from that. I don't know, it just felt too long, in my opinion. This movie was literally 2 hours and a few minutes, right? Like, it was too long. The story is so simple that it didn't need to take 2 hours. And like I said, they just kept showing village of this or town of this or something, and I was like, okay, why are you showing me all these villages? Like, make it make sense. So in the end, it didn't even matter. All those villages didn't even matter. So for me, that was just like, okay. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if you felt this way. I just felt the story was very cut and join, if that makes any sense. It started taking shape towards the end. I think the moment they put Botija on trial to get his promotion, that's when the story actually picked up, in my opinion. So that's the beginning. That's the story, literally. So everything before that, I was just like, okay, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to establish people's stories or their characters? If you're trying to do that, do you need to take this long? Okay, because at the end of the day, I was like, who is Bukunmi, right? We just saw somebody, his wife just showed up and like, oh, you're not going to go and fight well, blah, 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 blah. And then he rakes, goes inside. Then he goes to meet Ogundiji and is apologizing. I'm just like, okay, I get it, but all right. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I don't want to spend too long here. Overall, I think this is where they dropped the ball the most. The story didn't flow very well, and it just took too long. Some of that time that they used in some unnecessary scenes, they could have actually spent that time at the end, because with most Nollywood movies, the end left me feeling a little bit unsatisfied. I wasn't satisfied with the end. With such a strong hook at the beginning, I expected a really, really strong end. Of course, we all knew that Ogundiji was going to die, right? But I wanted an epic battle. I wanted Ogundiji to show us why he is Ogundiji, right? But I didn't get that at the end, and it just felt very rushed. Like it was literally a few scenes and he's dead. Meanwhile, they spent so much time showing us Botija slaying an entire kingdom. That bit was just too long, in my opinion. I actually fast forwarded. I was like, oh my god, are they still here? But generally speaking, it's a good story. It reminded me so much of the Yoruba movies I grew up watching, which is good. But again, this was a good Yoruba movie that didn't lose its culture or the character. And I think they infusing the Yoruba language, actually not infusing, speaking Yoruba language throughout made it a very authentic experience for me. For that, I have to applaud them, because even though you have a good story, if all these extra bits and bobs are not there, then that story doesn't come to life. It was, like I mentioned earlier in this review, it reminded me so much of The Woman King. But with The Woman King, you could tell, I could see the American influence in such a cultural story. So it didn't make it as authentic as opposed to Jagun Jagun, where it was just a breath of Yoruba air. Of course, the location was just beautiful. I loved it. The forest, the field, everything about it. I don't want to go in too many details, but even the staging, like the home where, or the school, or let's say the academy where the soldiers went to train, very, very nice. The room, just that elevation, right, where Ogundiji was sitting way above everybody and he was looking down, the battlefront, everything, the way it was staged, beautiful. Next is costume, makeup, and props. Oh my god, guys, I never really talk about props as much, but I just want to group everything together and say they did a fantastic job. Okay, I want to mention a few people in particular. Femi Adebayo's makeup and hair on fleek. Period. It was giving, as my Gen Zs will say, it was giving everything that it needed to give. I loved it. It really transformed him. The look was very rough but realistic. I like the fact that his hair was like sort of bald at the back, and then you had like the beards. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but most of the men, they had like this checkered design on their beards, which I found so cool. I just really, really liked it. And also, if you notice, Bukunmi had a scar at the middle of his face. That scar looked so authentic. Like, we have really gone very, very far when it comes to costume, hair, and makeup, and like props generally. Why I say props is because also when you think about the knives didn't look fake. It didn't look plastic. Also, Agemo, the masquerade thing, I liked the look. It was giving Yoruba samurai, if that makes any sense. But I really, really liked the look. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit scared in the beginning when Ogundiji sort of summoned her and all we could see was just the shadow with the horns. I was like, why is this giving devil, right? But eventually I was like, okay, I like it. I liked the use of the Ashoke and Ajire, and just seeing the women, the excitement on their faces. It reminded me of that viral Yoruba festival that went round. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm going to insert a clip of it. It just brought back that feeling and it made me very, very, very excited to see. I also liked the way they draped the horses and everything. Beautiful. It was 10 over 10. For any movie to be on Netflix, I expect amazing quality, right? And this movie did not disappoint. The cinematography, the angles, the use of light, everything was beautiful. I particularly enjoyed all the overhead shots. It just did something for me. Maybe because I'm also a content creator. I loved the angles, especially on the battlefield, right? I liked the way they did a little bit of slow-mo. Some of the scenes were like fast, and it was just very, very nice. I don't want to go into too many details because I'm not a professional, but I really, really enjoyed watching it. The scenes were very good. One thing that I'm pretty sure everybody is talking about is the choreography and the fight scenes. Oh my God, it was so good. Just, I don't know if you guys have watched Vikings. I've watched Vikings, and this was like a Nigerian version of Vikings, and I really loved it. That first war scene was very well executed. I loved everything. It seemed so authentic. I'm so happy at how far we've come in Nollywood. That must have been difficult to shoot and choreograph, and they did an exceptional job. Now, in as much as a lot of the scenes were good, a lot of the fight scenes were good, there were some scenes that didn't quite hit the spot for me, unfortunately. And one of those scenes was the great fight between Bukunmi and Botija, right? They had built up my expectation of how Bukunmi fights by, when Botija was talking to was it like the chief priest or the herbalist, where they were basically just telling us that, oh my God, Bukunmi is a vicious killer. He's this, he's that, he's that. Like, I was like, whoa, this is going to be an epic showdown. And that fight was very, very lackluster. I was so disappointed. It was long. I was just like, it's not giving. It's not giving what it should give. It's giving weak. It's not. I get that Botija is an up-and-coming warrior, but the fight was just very bland, in my opinion, and looked very choreographed. Like, it showed all the moves and everything. It just didn't work for me. Another thing I didn't like was also the end scene with Ogundiji and Botija as well. Again, because of how well they had built up the Ogundiji's character, I expected so much more from that final battle. I felt like a lot should have gone into that final fight, as opposed to they putting so much effort in the beginning, and then the end scene just left me feeling like again, it was very, very disappointing. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? I just felt like they could have done so much more with those fight scenes. Another thing I really enjoyed was the CGI effects. They did okay. There were some CGI effects that didn't make sense. I will only talk about one part where they submerged Botija's coffin in the water, where the coffin was sinking. The underwater scene looked very, very fake. Like, I don't know. I expected them to do something more authentic. Like, there's underwater camera, right? Again, I don't know what the budget of this movie was, so let me keep my mouth shut, but it just looked so fake. And then the way the water was like seeping in, I expected, I don't know, it just didn't work, guys. I'm sorry. The water was coming, but it didn't look like the water was coming in. I wanted to see more of that. He just seemed too relaxed, and the water just never quite, covered his face. And they kept showing that the coffin was sinking until eventually, and then we just had like the whole water over the entire camera, and I was just like, okay. I have three, but my favorite one has got to be the face-off between Fathia Balogun, who played Ogundiji's wife, and the Three Stooges, as my sister called them. The Babalawo or whatever spirits had sent three men, and they just kept cocking their gun and shooting at her. Oh my God, that scene was so powerful. The proverbs that she was hitting them with, when she said, you think sickness and death are the same thing. When death speaks, sickness will just, sit down. I'm paraphrasing. I was like, yo, tell them they don't know nothing, okay? And then the fact that she was like spitting the bullets out, I was like, yo! It was so cool. Oh my God, she bodied that part. Like Fathia Balogun killed it. It was so interesting. I was literally like screaming and like jumping on my seat, like, let's go. Of course, I was so happy when Botija now entered and he was like commanding them. And then I don't know what it is, but those three men, they were giving they were just like, Kaka, walk, Kaka. But I was like, yo, it was just too good. And that's actually too, one of my other favorite scenes was the intro. You guys know I can't talk about this movie without talking about that intro. That intro was beautiful. But I think the thing that got me was when he said, Oya sọ pé ó ti lọ. And then they just Ogundiji basically threw his whatever, or let's say an axe or something, and chopped off the I don't know who he is, basically an oppressor, right? You guys know who I'm talking about. Chopped off his hand. I literally in my room I said, it's gone. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be used as a meme. Mark my words, if it has not already been used as a meme, in a few days or hours, it's going to be a meme. But like I said, that intro was beautiful. It was so good. I actually thought the guy they showed in the beginning was actually Ogundiji, but when they now showed the Ogundiji, the way he walked out, I was like, let's go. And I think that's what really excited me so much about the movie, that his exit, the way he was hitting the horse. I know, I was like, let's go. It was really, really good. And I think the last scene that I really, really enjoyed so much that I just really want to talk about was all of Agemo's scene. I absolutely loved it. Oh my God. I don't know what it is, but it was just very, I don't know, maybe because it was giving American movie vibe, but in a good way, not in a foreign way. The way she came in and basically killed the entire army. It was very sweet, very suave. And of course, I don't know if I've already talked about it. I loved the plot twist. I think that's one of the best things in this entire movie was the plot twist. We finding out that Agemo was actually Kiton. Like, I was like, okay, that's good. That is good. I did not expect that because the narrator had called Agemo a demon spirit or whatever. And when she was having that fight with Ogundiji, I mean, nah, I've forgotten his name. I just called him Ogundiji. What's his name? Oh, hell. Botija. Yes. When Agemo was having that fight with Botija, I was just like, hey, which one be this one? How is he supposed to kill a spirit, you know? So when he was asking the trees to come to his aid and they showed that the tree had pierced Agemo, I'm like, how? And then it obviously dawned on me that moment that, okay, Agemo is actually a human and not a spirit. And imagine my shock when he unmasked her and it was actually the love of his life. I was just like, no. You guys get the gist. These scenes really defined the movie, and I don't think any other parts in the entire movie matched up to it. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And so it's time to rate this movie. I've talked about so many good things that I loved about this movie and the things that I didn't really like about the movie. I'm going to rate this movie 7/10, just because in as much as it was a good movie and literally almost everything was aligned and worked, I just felt like the movie didn't take me to where I wanted to go. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure between you and me, you know, when you watch a movie, you expect to feel something and you're like, I didn't feel that. I was okay with it, but at the end, my face was literally like this, like, okay. Yeah, that's how it made me feel. A few bits here and there, like I mentioned, the continuity. I fast forwarded a few parts. I felt like it was too long. It didn't flow very well. The story whilst it was basic and good, it wasn't exciting. There were a few exciting scenes, but it wasn't enough for me. It is something that if you haven't seen it, I'll say watch it. But is it something that I can sit down and watch again and again? No. There are movies that I would legit sit down and watch again and again because they are that good, okay? But this is definitely not one of them. But I really commend Femi Adebayo. This was a well put together movie. Kudos to you. And yeah, guys, that's it. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in another video. Bye.